Welcome back. The next spooky granny square tutorial is on this witch's heart.
Hi, this is Katie, and welcome to the Nodding Perch, where I like to talk and share all things crochet. So you ready? Let's go.
Okay, and the granny square technique I'm going to use is under my granny's playlist, part 13, called Quick and Easy Granny Square. So if you're not familiar with that, go ahead, check out that video, and then come back here. And I'm going to try something new this time. I am going to show you what the round looks like first, once it's completed, before I show you how to do that particular round. That way it should make it easier to understand where your color changes are going to be. I will be using my H hook 5mm. And as always, I'm using I Love This Yarn by Hobby Lobby. And this color is called Berry. I think it's beautiful. From a distance, it kind of looks like it's velvety. And since black is hard to see on tutorials, I'm going to be using the gray as the heart part. All right, let's get started. This is what round one is going to look like. We're going to go ahead and start with our magic ring, or you can always do a chain 4 and then slip stitch chain together and work inside that ring. Once we have our magic ring, we're going to do a chain 3. This first chain 3 acts like our first double crochet. Now we're going to do 2 more double crochets into the ring. 1 and 2. So this is going to be our first cluster in our granny square. Chain 2, and we'll do another cluster into the ring. Each cluster consists of 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, and 3. Chain 2. Okay. And we're going to do that 2 more times into the ring. So we're going to make 2 more clusters into the ring separated by a chain 2. Here is my third cluster. Chain 2. And then I'm going to do my last cluster into the ring. Here's my last cluster, chain 2, and then we are going to slip stitch into the top of that first chain 3. Okay, so that's the end of the first round. Make sure you tighten your magic ring, tighten up that little hole in the middle. Here's what round 2 looks like. Okay, so on round 2, we will start with a chain 3. And then we're going to go skip right over into this chain space, and we're going to do our first corner into this chain space. Every corner gets a cluster, chain 2, cluster. Remember, the clusters are 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, and 3. Chain 2, and then we'll put another cluster back into that same space. All right, and now we're going to skip right over to the next corner. Now on this granny square, we only do a chain on the corners. I do not chain along the sides. So we're going to skip right over into the next chain space and do our cluster, chain 2, and cluster. Here's our second cluster. All right, so now we have 2 corners. So we're going to go ahead and do our 3rd corner. Add our cluster, chain 2 and cluster. Okay. All right, and then we have our final corner. So we'll start with our first cluster. 2 and 3, chain 2. Now I want you to take a look. You see this beginning chain 3? This is going to act as a double crochet, the last double crochet into our last cluster. Hope that makes sense. You'll see it in just a moment. So we're after our chain 2, we are only going to do 2 double crochet into the corner, because then we're going to pull this over to make that our 3rd double crochet. 1 and 2. Now we're going to have to do a color change, so don't finish that 2nd double crochet. We're going to go ahead and put our new color across the hook, just like this. And we're going to finish that 2nd double crochet with the new color. So let's pull it through the last 2 loops. Okay, let's give that a gray color a little tighten down here. Pull that tail. All right, now what we're going to do is slip stitch into the top of that first chain 3. And you'll see that this gets pulled over to finish that 2nd cluster in that last corner. See how that pulls that over? So now in that corner you do have your clusters of 3. Up next is round 3. So now for the 3rd round, we'll start with our chain 3. And we're going to do 2 double crochets into this chain space, since this chain 3 already acts as our first double crochet. And when we do this, I like to go over the tails. So 1, and before I do the 2nd one, which will be the 3rd double crochet, I'm going to make sure I don't crochet over this gray tail. I'll show you why in just a moment. So make sure those are tucked off to the side. All right, let's do the 2nd double crochet. I'm not going to finish this because we are going to do a color change. So when I do my color change, I'm going to take the new color and tuck it behind. And now I'm going to bring that gray back up and put that on my hook. And by doing it this way, I feel like it lessens the bleeding of the accent color coming through to the front. All right, now we're going to move on to the next corner, and we're going to do our cluster, chain 2 and cluster. We'll be carrying our accent color with us, so go ahead and lay it across your hook, and you want this just to lay right behind the stitches. You do not want it on front, else it's going to bleed through to the front. Okay, so let's do our first cluster. Chain 2, and then our 2nd cluster into that corner. See, I still have that color behind, the accent color behind. Okay, now we're going to go into the side. We're going to just do 1 cluster into the side. Make sure you carry your accent color over with you. Remember, I have it laying right behind the stitches. Before I start my 3rd crochet in the cluster, I'm going to drop this tail off to the side. I'm not going to go over it. I'm going to go ahead and do my third double crochet. I'm going to stop because I do have to color change. So now I'm going to drop my gray and I'm going to pick up my accent color. All right, this corner is going to be on the accent color, so we'll do our cluster, chain 2, cluster. Let's carry over our gray. Chain 2 in our last cluster. Still working over the gray. 1, 2. And then for the third one, we're going to drop the gray over here. We don't want to crochet over it because if we crochet over that gray and then we use it for a color change, it's going to bleed through the front. Okay, let's not finish that because we're color changing. Drop the pink, let's pick up the gray and finish. Okay, so now we are going to do a cluster in the side with our gray color. Don't forget to carry over your accent color. Okay, here's our third double crochet. And now we're going to do our last corner of this round. Carry over the pink and let's do our cluster, chain 2 and cluster. Okay, on the last double crochet of that last cluster, we are going to change colors. So here's our second double crochet. We're going to drop that. We were carrying over the pink. We're going to put that off to the side and make our third double crochet. Stop, and we're going to complete it with that accent pink color. So drop the gray, pick up the pink, put on the hook, and finish our stitch. And then we're going to slip stitch into the top of that starting chain 3. All right, on our last and final round, round 4. Okay, so round 4, we're going to stick to the accent color. We're done with the gray color that we used for our heart. And now we're just going to go all the way around in this pink color. Do our chain 3 to start. Now we're going to move over to the chain space and along the side, and we're going to do our cluster of 3. And on this 4th round, we're just going to do our clusters of 3s into every chain space along the side. And then on our corners, we're just going to do our clusters of 3 along with our chain 2 and the cluster of 3. So I'll go ahead and see you when we get all the way around to the end here. Okay, I'm putting in my last double crochet in the cluster. So here is my last corner. All I have left now is the top side chain space. So I'm going to do my 2 double crochets into that chain space. And then I'm going to slip stitch into the top of that chain 3. And once again, by doing this, it will pull over that chain space, that chain, to become the 3rd double crochet in that last cluster. So there you have it. That's how you make this cute little, what I like to call, witch's heart for our spooky granny square series. And don't forget to subscribe, and any questions, leave them in the comments, and I'll see you on the next tutorial. Happy crocheting!